Welcome to Body Buddies, home of the Power Foods lifestyle. Take it one meal, one workout, one day at a time. And now, here's the founder of Body Buddies, Chris Kidawski.
Welcome to the Body Buddies podcast. I'm Christy Joe and super excited to welcome you to episode number 152 with Chris Kidawski. I would love to tell you a little bit about him and then share with you some awesome resources that are here at Body Buddies before we dive into our conversation. You guys are going to benefit greatly. So let me tell you a little bit about him. He has a bachelor's in social science, a master's in kinesiology, and has been a strength coach for 18 years. He is a self-published author of 2 different books. We'll talk about those briefly on the show as well. And he has a really well-rounded view of not only fitness, but the mindset, spirituality, and nutrition that encompass everything. He started his journey in 1999 when he quit playing football for the University at Buffalo and decided if he couldn't be in the NFL, he was going to help people get there. So he started as a personal trainer at the Buffalo Athletic Club, and he noticed that his clients were getting better results than others, and he had a knack for programming effectively as well. So his boss told him that if he really wanted to make a difference, he should become a certified strength and conditioning specialist, which he did. He then went on to coach at the University of Buffalo for 2 years, where he was in charge of the women's basketball team. After getting his bachelor's in social science, he became a graduate assistant strength coach at the University of Hawaii, where he worked with softball, baseball, women's soccer, men's and women's golf, men's and women's swimming and diving, football, and earned his master's in kinesiology. I think he was busy there, but how fun. During that time, he was also an adjunct professor instructing a kinesiology course on weightlifting. During that time, he realized that he had an ability to motivate and inspire others and often used essays by Ralph Waldo Emerson or poems from Walt Whitman to educate his athletes, thus developing their minds as well as their bodies. So from there, he went on to work with the Miami Dolphins as a performance enhancement coach and the head of his nonprofit organization, the Best Route Foundation. There, he had the best of both worlds, working on both the physical and mental side simultaneously. He developed a mentorship program for the county schools in Broward called 7 Ways to Change Your Mind, where he and Devon held a 1-hour presentation and then mentored the schools for an hour. So he's done quite a bit. I could go on, but don't want to hold back from the time we spent together. What you're going to learn here on this podcast, we're going to share with you mindsets behind getting to the gym and getting motivated. We will talk about some of the biggest mistakes that he sees when it comes to people and working out and nutrition, as well as some verbal cues for how to protect yourself from injury. He's going to talk about some exercises you definitely need to be careful on in the gym. It's going to really help open up your minds to the mobility, the way your body works. And he'll also give you some other just great feedback. You'll be motivated, inspired. Chris is a very powerful speaker and mentor, and I was very grateful to spend that time with him. So thank you, Chris, for being with me. And after these next commercials, we will bring on Chris to the Body Buddies podcast.
Hi, I'm Christy Joe, founder of Body Buddies, a body transformation company. I want to help you transform your life into a healthier and happier you. I've already helped thousands of people change their lives. Go to powerfoodslifestyle.com to get your free copy of The Power Foods Lifestyle. This book will help you change your relationship with food, teach you strategic eating for fat loss and more energy, and help you eliminate the all or nothing diet approach. What do you have to lose besides the weight? Get your free copy of The Power Foods Lifestyle at powerfoodslifestyle.com.
Are you sick of the low-energy, mid-afternoon crashes? Feeling a bit fluffy in your clothes? And just knowing you should be doing better with your health? Sign up today for Body Buddies 8-Week Challenge. With new groups starting every Monday, you can enroll at any time, whenever you're ready to commit to powering your body. Go at your own pace with the meal plans, workouts, mindset training, and enjoy the uplifting and supportive community in this private group. For less than $10 a week, you can get the most advanced training in lifestyle correction that you can maintain. Go to body-buddies.com to learn more today. Sign up and get a free 15-minute call with Christy Joe to help steer you in the right direction for you. Power your body, one meal, one workout, and one day at a time with the Body Buddies 8-Week Challenge.
All right, welcome to the show, Chris. Let's start this off by asking you, what does it mean to power your body?
Powering your body, to me, really means being able to accelerate all aspects of health and wellness in order to optimize your functioning as a human being. So there are a lot of people that may say, okay, I go to the gym 1 hour a day. Well, that's great that you exercise, but you also work too much and you don't take care of your nutrition. And then there are some people that may exercise and they take care of their nutrition, but they're constantly stressed out. They're all over the place mentally. They're not really taking care of their mind, which isn't going to adequately help them take care of their body in an optimal way. So when you talk about powering your body, I'm talking about working on, in some cases, the most deepest of systemic levels, right down to the very cell, and then kind of working out from there and being able to optimize everything. And this includes stuff like meditation, making sure that you're getting enough sleep, making sure that you're getting the best type of water. There are a lot of people that drink a lot of bottled water and they think that this is a good thing, but we find out that the plastic that's leaching into the water isn't really the best. So that could be an area that somebody's slipping up right there. There are some people that might be exercising for too long, rather than getting in, getting out, really optimizing their time in the gym. They could be spending 3 hours in the gym and not really doing much of anything. So powering your body to me means optimizing every single level, mental, spiritual, physical, and on the physical side, especially right down to our very cells.
Wow, powerful response right there. And our listeners are just going to be so excited about everything you have to share. You've been in the industry a long time now. You've got 2 books out there, The Death of the Diet, and then The Everspace, Utilizing the Power of God, and Neuroscience to Create Stillness Within. We are excited. I'm going to ask you about those later because I definitely want our listeners to hear where they can get their hands on it. But for all of our listeners, what Chris's and my goal is today is to share with you, using his insight, how to open your mind to this concept of weightlifting and conditioning and dispelling myths and helping you understand the right approaches, the most holistic, real, benefit-giving approaches. So, Chris, let's dive into the fact that everyone's trying to get motivated every day. That's even the hardest part, right? It's almost like we can't even talk optimality. It's just get your butt out of bed. So what's the number one thing that helps people get motivated and get going, get that fire lit under their butts?
Okay. Primarily, and this is going to be probably a pretty big shocker to everybody, what motivates me to get out of bed and do what I do every single day is my fear of one day losing my health and losing my movement. And that is 2 things that people in America take for granted on a daily basis. And it really, really, really bothers me because I was once in their position where I took my movement for granted. And then all of a sudden one day I had a really, really horrific knee injury occur while I was doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And guess what? When you take that leg away and I can't go into the gym and squat and I need to have a brace on it for 2 weeks and I literally lose 1 year of being able to train how I normally train, that snapped me out of that trance real quick and said, my goodness, I need to take a look at how I move. I need to cherish my movement every single day. And people don't do this. Nobody ever wakes up in America and says, man, am I going to be able to get a glass of water today? Am I going to be able to get food today? Right? So we take these, everything's so abundant in America, including our ability to move. Okay, we can hop in our car. We have rapid transit. There are a lot of people flying and whatnot. I mean, I just went to South America a little bit ago. South Africa. And, there are some people in there, they can't even afford a trip to the airport, let alone a ticket on an airplane, right? So wake up every single day and don't take your movement for granted. Don't take your health for granted. I used to own and operate a CrossFit gym, and people would come in and they'd say, I don't know, I'm really intimidated about CrossFit. And I look at them, I say, you know what intimidates me? Cancer, heart attacks, strokes, right? But people aren't thinking like that. We wake up and, I'm a couple pounds overweight. I know this, but I love myself and I'll be okay. And then all of a sudden their partner, who they think is healthier than they are, drops dead for some reason that nobody can really understand. And then they wake up.
Right.
And then all of a sudden it's like, oh my goodness, I need to take better care of myself. I don't want your listeners to ever wake up in that position. I want them to wake up every single day and say, and have the utmost gratitude for just being able to move and realizing that our body is our greatest tool a lot of times to do spiritual work. And then going out there and putting your headphones on. I don't care if you go for a run, if it's Pilates, if it's yoga, if you just go to the gym and, hop on the recumbent bike for 20 or 30 minutes. Use your body, get out there and just move it, because you are going to be very, very disappointed one day when you can't and you want to.
100%. And two things that you said that I really like. Number one, talking about that connection of spirituality, that our body is that tool to help us on that level. And we're going to unpack that in a minute. But on this appreciation level for our bodies, many of our listeners know I have a really severe case of scoliosis. And watching my body degrade over the years and break down. I'm a very heavy dancer. I used to bodybuild and compete. And things for me have shifted into I wake up every day and I go to the gym so I can move one more day. And it's the most powerful shift when your brain changes to say, I do this so I can function, so I can live a full life, so I can be at my best, rather than, all this body composition and confidence and self-validation, that's a cool side benefit. If we feel good about our bodies, awesome. But at the end of the day, just like what you're talking about, it's what is deeper here. So I appreciate you going into that. Can you unpack the spiritual part of it for us a little bit more?
Yeah, that's a big problem that I have. And I apologize sometimes to people, because I have a huge tendency to go from zero to extremely deep at the blink of an eye.
We love
did
it.
A really,
you can go
really
deep here.
Thank you. We did a really challenging workout about a week ago at the CrossFit gym that I go to now. And somebody was complaining about, oh man, this workout's going to suck. It's going to be so hard, blah, 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 blah. And I looked at him and I said, what would really suck is if you were in a wheelchair and you couldn't do a deadlift, let alone the 55 that we have for today. And he just kind of he zoned out for a quick second, paused, and was like, I guess that would really suck. And that's what I'm saying, is a lot of people aren't thinking on that level. They're taking their movement for granted, when there are people out there that would literally do anything to just take a step tomorrow or today. They would do anything to come in and waste themselves doing 1 or 2 deadlifts, let alone have the opportunity to do 55. And so when I wrote my book, The Everspace, my mentor, who pretty much oversees a lot of my business decisions, he was very critical. And he looked at me and he goes, Chris, there are a lot of people out there that write these self-improvement books, and I'm just not sold on them. And he goes, what makes you think that you're qualified to give people self-help advice? And I looked at him and I said, well, Seymour, I've been in the service industry for over 18 years now. I've been helping people for 18 years. I said, I woke up one day and said, who am I not? And who am I not to give people advice on this stuff? And really what I started to realize is, more than training my clients' bodies, it was first being able to train their mind. It was first being able to change their mind and the way that they thought about exercise before we could really make a change to their body. And a lot of my athletes come in and they say, I hate squatting. I don't like it. It hurts my knees. And I would say, okay, that's fine. We're going to squat. I'm going to teach you the proper way to squat. And then after I teach them the proper way to squat where it doesn't hurt, and all of a sudden they see their numbers going up, and then they go out on the field and they say, man, I feel really light. And then they come back a couple weeks later and they say, yo, man, like people are noticing how much faster I am. I first had to change their mind before we changed their body. You see what I'm saying? So
Totally.
When I started to realize this, and I needed to kind of get it off my chest. It was more so a catharsis book. It was a book that I wrote for myself to help me remember the things that I need to do in my life in order for it to progress. And I figured that, you know what, I may as well just write it down, publish it. And the people that buy it, I truly hope that there's something in there that they can cling to, and it will enhance their life on a mental or spiritual level, which will then hopefully enhance their life on a physical level.
Wow. There's so much we have in common. It's so great. I just finished up
Right?
a YouTube channel that I would say I did for the exact same reasons, that it was for me to remember what the difference of mental discipline and spirituality and these concepts. And would you find, Chris, because this is what I have found, is between all of us fitness and nutrition professionals, there is an overarching theme for those of us who are serious about it and really out to do some good. And it's that spirituality and mental discipline is kind of the supreme thing here, right?
Right. Absolutely. It's very, very easy for somebody to go and be a personal trainer, okay? But it is very, very challenging to keep clients and to make a significant change to somebody's body and then keep making changes. I tell anybody right when they start working with me, I pretty much want them to be a customer for life. You know, if you want to come and say, I want to lose 15 pounds. Okay, after we lost 15 pounds, what do you want to do next? Well, I want to bench 225 for 10 reps. Okay, we bench 225 for 10 reps. What do you want to do next? I want to be a race car driver. Okay, I'm going to train you to be a race car driver. I look at them and say, I can do anything for your body that you want. I want you as a lifetime customer. I'm going to be your life coach. I'm not just about exercise, you know, and a lot of people, when they meet me and they hear what I've done, and I've run a gym and I've done this, I've published books, and people are like, oh, you probably just eat, sleep, and breathe training. Like that's all you do, huh? And I say, no, I really enjoy going to the beach. I have a lot of fun playing video games with my friend Dan for hours on end. It's like, it's not who I am. It's what I do. And I do it because I absolutely love helping to affect other people's lives for the better. And it's not work to me. It never has been. I started doing this when I was 19 years old. I'm 38 right now. And it has never been a day of work. And that's not to say that I haven't ever been tired or burned out from the energy that I had to put forth, I guess you could say. But I never woke up and said, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. This is terrible. I might as well just go and work at M&T Bank or something like that. I've never, ever said that. And the people that I end up working with, or the people that I end up speaking to, I had a great podcast with Dr. Dan Margolin last week or something like that. And it was talking to a complete stranger that I had everything in common with. So I'm really starting to enjoy this aspect of kind of consulting, getting my name out there for people who are looking for help and really just want to know the truth of the matter, the truth of things. And, you know, I've tried to uncover that the best that I could in the past bunch of years that I've been doing this.
Great. Well, and it's amazing to have people that care and that are truly out to do some good. So while we're talking about uncovering that truth, let's talk about some of the biggest mistakes or even myths that people believe or those mistakes they're making when it comes to lifting and conditioning, and they're trying to lose weight, they're trying to lean out, trying to tone up. And how can we avoid some of these big-time mistakes?
Okay, there are so many of them, man. There are so many. I'm going to try and I'll try and just make sense. That's the best
we'll start with the most blatant.
I can do. If
the ones that you groan when you see,
track,
right?
I'm sorry?
I'll bring you back.
Yes, please. So number one, one of my pet peeves, one of my primary pet peeves is pre-workout drinks, okay? And then protein shakes. Everybody wants to know what type of pre-workout drink I take, and I tell them I have 1 cup of coffee. And they look at me, they're like, when do you have it? And I say, 2 hours after I wake up. And they're looking at me and they're like, but it's 4 p.m. right now and you're starting to exercise. Like, how is that a pre-workout drink? And I say, that's what it is. You ask what my pre-workout drink is. Other than that, it's water. And they're like, so you don't take anything? No. Not only are we finding out that human manufactured or chemically manufactured caffeine is causing people to drop dead, but if you are not in shape to, number one, really be motivated to go to the gym, and number two, get your workout done, then you need to adjust your nutrition more than you need a bottle of artificial coloring, chemically manufactured caffeine to help you go in and crush a workout. Okay,
well
that is one of the that is one of the biggest pet peeves that I have. And thank goodness there's not that much of it in the CrossFit world, but there are some times where I need to take clients to LA Fitness or 24 Hour, whatever global gym, to show them a couple of better ways to exercise and whatnot. And I see it, man. I see everybody walking around with their colored drinks, slamming them before they go and squat or bench or whatever. And that's the stuff that really scares me, is when I start reading reports that people are dropping dead from manufactured caffeine. I don't ever want to see something like that happen. And to me, that means that your nutrition is off. You need to focus first on enhancing your nutrition, eating the right types of foods for your body. And then guess what? You naturally have motivation. You naturally have inspiration because you feel great. You have better and more consistent sources of energy in your body, where it's not like, okay, I need a power up right now before I go and work out. And guess what? If you have a bad day working out, oh, well, that just means that your central nervous system was probably shot, or you're stressed from work, or you were tired. Go in there, do the best that you can, go home, and maybe go to sleep a little bit earlier, and you'll feel a ton better, right? Well,
and you can actually feel when it's off instead of masking it.
Right. Not every single one of my workouts are lights out amazing, where I'm, smashing personal bests, and it's just, you know what I'm saying? I have a bad day every once in a while. I'm like, man, I just must have been really tired. Okay. I didn't need a pre-workout drink. I didn't need anything like that. So the second one that we'll get to is a post-workout shake. Everybody thinks, within 15 minutes to 30 minutes, we need to crush a protein drink with maybe 40 grams of protein, 120 grams of carbohydrates or something like that. And one of the more interesting pieces of research I ended up uncovering was the hormetic effect of exercise, okay? And what we know about exercise is that it is a catabolic activity, okay? So we go into the weight room and we break a whole bunch of muscle tissue down, and what the body needs to do after we get done training is kind of clean up the entire mess that we created, okay? So by consuming a whole bunch of protein, fats, carbohydrates when we get done training, what we end up doing is we mess up that hormetic effect or response that our body's trying to produce. And basically what the body does is it releases these little cells called macrophages, and they run around and they kind of clean up the system and they scrub everything, and they push a whole bunch of leftover metabolic waste from our energy production into the lymph so it can get cleared out through the liver. And now we have a cleaner, better functioning system for our nutrition to help us recover. So what I have told people now that we want to do is wait 1 hour in between getting done with training and putting some type of food in our body. And I cannot even express how well this works, because I used to be that guy that was like, within 15 minutes to 30 minutes, I need a protein drink. I need to feed my muscles from everything that I did. But what I actually started to find out when I was doing that is it was hit and miss. I would wake up the next day and I would somewhat feel recovered, or I would wake up the next day and I wouldn't feel recovered at all. And I was just kind of like, I was confused. I was like, what the heck is going on here? And what I noticed is the days that I forgot my protein drink after I trained, the next day was when I felt the most recovered, because usually by the time I got done training and got home and then made my shake, or if I made some food, it was about an hour, something like that. So it was spot on. And so that's, you know, two things right now that I would say people to focus on. Number one, improve your nutrition so you don't need a pre-workout drink. And then wait at least 1 hour after you train so you can maximize your recovery. I know it goes against all conventional thought and wisdom, but this is the newest research, and it is spot on.
Right, absolutely. Well, and we know whole foods are going to be processed better by the body anyway, and it really comes down to that hormonal profile. So wonderful advice there. What about on the lifting level? Are there any exercises people are either doing wrong in general, any exercises that we should be avoiding that are kind of glamorized out there? Anything that comes to mind?
Okay, so primarily the biggest ones that I would probably state is anything involving a machine, okay? But the more specific ones are the lower body exercises, all right? And what we want to look at is open versus closed chain kinetic exercises. Open is pretty easy. It means that you're not in contact with anything, okay? No part of your body is in contact with the ground. A closed chain kinetic exercise is when your feet are touching the ground, okay? So when we look at a lower body exercise, like let's say the leg press, all right? People use the leg press. They love stacking 1,200, 1,500 pounds on there. It's an extreme physical feat, no doubt, but the problem that I have with that is you are strengthening the legs without strengthening the back, okay? And what we find out as physiologists is we walk with our back on our legs, okay? This is what I tell people all the time. A lot of us think that we walk with our legs. We don't. We walk on our legs. Locomotion starts from our low back, our hip flexors, and our glutes, okay? And then is continued with our thighs and our hamstrings, our calves and our ankles and our feet, okay? So if you are strengthening the legs without strengthening the low back, this is not going to translate very well to what we normally do in our life, which is, you know, walking and running, and how the mechanisms work, okay? The other two exercises that I absolutely just cringe when I watch people to do, especially when they love just stacking the entire weight stack on there, is leg curls and leg extensions, okay?
Oh, yes.
Our feet are not in contact with anything, so let's think about it for a second. When we are doing a leg curl, okay, the only thing that's stopping that whole weight stack from crashing down is really just our hamstrings and our ACL. So what we end up doing is we create a shearing mechanism at our knee, and that ligament is really just crying out for help because it's trying to hold three bones together from being separated. And then on the reverse side, it's our PCL. When we're doing leg extensions, we have our quadriceps, which are pretty powerful, sure, but then we have this little ligament that's literally stopping our bones from separating and just snapping in half. So we always, when we're doing something with our lower body, we want to be standing and we want to have our feet on the ground, okay? Lunges, a single leg Bulgarian squat off of a bench, traditional back squatting and front squatting. If you have great mobility and you're into it, you can do your overhead squats. But I really, really just want to caution people against doing things like leg presses, leg extensions, and leg curls on those machines, because the amount of pressure that you're putting on these ligaments, or the incorrect way that you're treating these muscles and these mechanisms of the body, they're doing more destruction than they are doing good. And I don't think anybody goes into the gym and says, oh, you know what, I really want to wreck my ACL today. What can I do? People want to go in and they say, I just want to look good and feel good. And then, after about 10 years of doing leg extensions with 230 pounds, why is my knee kind of aching? I don't understand it. So these are the things that they creep up on you over time. And the sooner that you get that you stop doing them and get onto some better exercises, the better off you'll be.
That's some really good advice, and definitely something I have seen a lot in my bodybuilding days is the people stacking on these weights, and I'm going, what are you doing? So much pressure on a joint like the knee. That's one of our most precious, like the shoulders and knees are some of our most precious joints. And you want to talk fastest way into surgery, stack some weight on improper mobility, and good luck. And I think, for our listeners, we're not trying to say don't do these. We're trying to say, at least, will you clarify for me? Are you saying don't do them, or are you saying maybe integrating them into a more holistic, where we do incorporate standing exercises and watch the amount of weight, or clarify for us, should people be alarmed and say never do them again?
So here's two things. If you lack mobility, or if you lack the proper strength to do squats or lunges or something like that, you can do the leg extensions, the leg curls, just keep it light. I would look for a little bit more higher repetition than I would higher weight. If you don't have any problem with lunges or squats, stop doing the leg press, leg curl, and leg extension, and start doing the lunges and the squats. You will 10x your results literally within a month or 2 months' time. You will 10x your results. But those exercises require a lot more metabolic capacity, and they definitely require a good amount of technique. So you want to find somebody that can maybe help you with that technique, or look at some good YouTube videos that have gotten good results or good reviews, and somebody that you can tell, like, okay, this person really knows what they're doing. Their video has had 1 million+ views, and there's 7,000 likes, and everybody in the comment section is like, hey, this was very helpful, thank you. That's the guy that you want to watch. That's the technique that you more than likely would like to use.
Awesome. That's really, really good feedback for our listeners. So since we are running short on time, let's just go ahead and finish up with this last question, and then I'd love for you to tell us more about where we can learn about your books, how people can get in contact with you. So here is a question about, we were just talking technique and form. Do you have any secret tips or top tips that you use with your clients that help them protect themselves from injury? Are there any verbal cues that we can all take away and apply in our workouts?
Okay, yeah, sure. The first one would be to help your listeners understand how to stack their spine. Okay, and we all know that we shouldn't let our shoulders round and go into C-spine and bend our back when we're lifting things. But one of the common faults that I see with a lot with people is actually starting to go into hyperextension, okay, where they're going to pin their shoulder blades together, they're going to arc their back as much as they can, and then they are going to start to lift. Or if you watch some people squat, when they go down and squat, their head goes back, and it's almost pinching the bar, and then when they squat back up, they kick it back even more. And what we find out is that by breaking the chain of the spine, not only do we create a little bit less tension for our muscles, so it actually makes us a little bit weaker, but we never, just like rounding the back, we don't want to go into too much hyperextension. We don't want to go too much in the opposite way. So the way that I exercise or teach people how to exercise is really to just keep as flat of a spine as you can. Okay, and then we look at translating that movement. All right, if we do happen to lift a little bit too heavy and our back curls just a little bit, we're still within safe realms, okay? If we do kind of kick our head back a little bit and tend to arc a little bit too much, we still have a little bit more translative movement there as well. Where as if we round too much and then we round some more, we get injured, okay? Or if we arc way too much and then we try to arc some more, we get injured. So we kind of want to get that spine to be a little bit more neutral rather than having a huge arc or a huge C, okay? That would be tip number one.
Great.
Tip number two,
yeah.
To help save the knees whenever we're squatting or whenever we're lunging, I always advocate having your knees out, okay? We never want to let the knees collapse in. Now, once again, this doesn't mean that we force our knees out to the side so much that we start leaking energy and our squat looks really, really, really awkward. All that I tell people is while you are trying to squat, try to pull the ground apart with your feet. Okay, so obviously you're not going to be able to pull the ground apart, but when you do that, what ends up happening is you access your glute power a little bit better, and it literally makes it impossible for you to cave your knees in, and that's really the danger there, okay? So once again, we don't want to spread or push our knees out so far that it looks awkward, but we don't want to shoot them straight forward, and we definitely don't want to let them cave, okay? So by being able to try to pull the ground apart with your feet, that keeps your knees in a really, really good position, and it clears room for your hips to descend. There are a lot of people where, they push their knees forward when they squat, and they can't get down that low. And they say, that kind of hurts my knees. And I say, all right, pull the ground apart. Your knees will come out just a little bit. Now we clear room for the hips, and they can come down, and we have much better mobility.
Oh, that's a great verbal cue. And our listeners need to know this is a very widespread problem. I see this. I do master classes for dancers. And so I see hundreds of dancers on a monthly level. And this is huge. And you want to think like, oh, dancers have great mobility. Even they need that help in those verbal cues.
Yeah.
And so I'm often, saying externally rotate from the knees and the hips, and that helps their vastus lateralis pull out a little bit. But I love that verbal cue. I'm going to give that a try. So thank you. That's a really good one for us to focus on and learn from.
Absolutely. There are sometimes, I'm not immortal to any of this stuff. There are sometimes if I'm warming up the squat, I'm not paying attention because the weight is light, and I'll actually go down and come up and be like, wow, that lift was all on my right leg. Like, what the heck? And what I didn't do was my own dang cue. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Like, I didn't tighten up, and I didn't try to spread the feet, the floor apart with my feet. And I'm just like, where is your head? Where is your head right now? And then I do it on the next one, and the lift was 10 times easier, and it felt much more bilateral rather than unilateral. So,
that's great. We have to apply our own tools, everybody. Yes, we do.
Absolutely.
That's great. Well, Chris, tell us where we can find out more or keep learning from you, where we can find your books. You've just given us a wealth of information today. We appreciate it so much.
I appreciate you. Thank you very much. My website is www.downloadingdaily.com. My author page on Facebook is where I tend to post a lot more nutrition and health information. Downloading Daily is kind of the spiritual self-help brainchild that I have going on there. But my author page on Facebook is Christopher J. Kidawski. That's Kidawski. You can find me on Twitter at Chris Kidawski. And then both of my books, The Death of the Diet and The Everspace, they can be found on Amazon as well in Kindle format. And then I actually have a print version of my book, The Everspace.
Fantastic. And all of our listeners, I will be linking all of those in the show notes. So whether you're listening on iTunes or Stitcher or your other favorite podcast source, definitely go to your show notes and you can access those there. All right, Chris. Well, It's been a pleasure. Any last parting words of advice for us?
You know what? Whenever it comes down to exercise, nutrition, I tell people two things. Do what you would do naturally, what your body would do naturally, and then also do whatever feels comfortable, okay? If I tell you to squat and you go and you're just like, you know what, I hate this, stop squatting. Don't do it. If it doesn't make you comfortable, if you're not noticing the benefits, don't do it. But then the other thing is, a lot of times people are like, well, when should I eat? What should I eat? And I tell them, say, look, you know what? Cro-Magnon man was not walking around with his Apple Watch saying, 3 hours have gone by. I should really go get something to eat. You know, and then you have these people who are saying you should eat every 3 hours, or you should have 6, 10, 12 meals a day. It's like, if you feel hungry, that is a physiological response for your body saying, I need energy. So we need to put the right type of energy in our body, okay? And it's just, a lot of times, I know we want to read all this research and make things really, really complicated. And like I said, get everything down to the cell level. Leave that to me. That's my job, okay? If you really want to function well and just be healthy, listen to your body. Listen to your body and just work as hard as you can.
I love it. Perfect. That's great advice for us. Hopefully we all go have a kick-butt week now, powering our bodies, working to be our best selves, living a high-quality life. That's what it's all about. So thank you again, Chris, for your time. And, yes, we will be excited to see more online.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a review on iTunes. You can learn more about Body Buddies and Power Foods Lifestyle by going to www.body-buddies.com, BODY-BUDDIES.com, and powerfoodslifestyle.com. That's www.POWERFOODSlifestyle.com.
Information in this episode is provided for informational purposes and is not meant to substitute the advice provided by your own physician or other medical professional. Information and statements regarding dietary supplements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration and are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.